So this project is something that comes from my childhood. It's when I was tiny, I had a mosaic background, and I used to see shapes in the mosaic, right? So I would go in and I would see a pirate ship, or I would see people, or I would see battles. And then the next time I would go back to the mosaic, I would be looking for those objects and I couldn't find them. So growing up, I left that house and I still kept the memories of those mosaics and of the idea of making shapes out of what we see. And a lot of people do that with clouds. They look at clouds and they see shapes, okay? And now that I'm a grown up, I go around with my kids and my kids say, oh, do you see this in the shapes? Do you see this? I see a rabbit that's running, I see a hat, I see a dinosaur or a dog, and every time I don't see it. So I felt disconnected from these memories of seeing things in these mosaic shapes. And as an artist and an adult, I was thinking, how can I create a project that would allow to connect who we are, what our cultural heritage is, where do we come from, and how we see things, okay? So I used all of 2019, I did a research program doing workshops in many countries and getting fabrics from my students, from the people I work with. So I worked in Liberia, we did projects in Nigeria, I got fabrics from Japan, from students. I worked with a lot of young people who brought me, especially from their families, fabrics that represented where they came from. And in my opinion, where they come from changes how they see things, okay? In a way, for all of us. And at the same time, we all come from our childhood, which is not a place, but a time that shapes how we see everything. In a way, to continue to have this vision of a child and to be able to admire things everywhere, okay, I wanted to create a work that allowed people to interact with it. So I used all these fabrics, like I have an example of a fabric from Finland, that can be brought, very closely with the fabric from Liberia. Okay? And cutting all this into shapes of things that I saw, I used a lot of imagery from the countries that I worked in. There were countries in war sometimes, like Liberia. And I used all these shapes of clouds, of islands, of explosions. And then I took them apart and created all these tiny shapes using all these fabrics. Now I'm looking for fabrics from Crete. And I make these magnetic shapes. So the idea is that people that come in front of this installation can actually change it. So either I make a shape and then people can come and move it around and create their own shapes. Sometimes, especially children, come and see immediately things in them. Like this morning, my son said this is a mouth, and this is fire coming out of the dragon's mouth. Okay, so that's the idea, and it's a project to allow people to change what the project is, and to allow people to make their own artwork in the museum.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.